Gray cracked open that can just before we went live. We missed the sound effect. Sounded so great, though.
Well, Poppy started licking herself right as we went live, and I was like, perfect. I'm not muted.
Good evening, and welcome to Momentous Live, episode 127. And I promised myself I wouldn't say good evening anymore because we're timeless. I'm Tristan Jutra.
I'm Deja Custodi.
I'm Gray Williams, and it's evening somewhere always.
But we're all timeless and priceless. Just like the news today. All sorts of exciting Apple news.
I wonder what we're going to talk about.
I wonder. Wait a second. So let's pull it up, shall we? Let's start with a quick little security bulletin for any Apple users out there. This happened 5 days ago. So last week on September 7th, there was 2 new 0-day attacks targeting iPhones and Macs. So in short, a 0-day attack is one whereby no one has any heads up that this exploit is out in the wild. So that means the vendors, such the hardware or software vendors such as Apple or the general public, whatnot, no one got any notice. This is boom. This was out in the wild. This is breaking news. And so you got to get your software updates done ASAP. Gray, what is it that makes 0-day exploits so much more dangerous than just any regular run-of-the-mill hack or malware attack or whatever you see out there?
Well, with these particular 0 days, and I guess 0 days, we're starting to see more like this, where it is a 0-click as well. So a 0-day is where we don't have a heads up that it's in the market, it's doing damage. The 0-click is something that can infect your device with no additional action on your part. You get sent something like an iMessage, or you get sent, a loyalty card with something like LastPass here, and you don't have to do anything. You just receive the content, and it will exploit your system. This is kind of a worst case scenario. This is the worst thing that can happen in the way as far as exploits go. You did nothing, and you're screwed.
And this particular one is these two can basically be triggered by simply receiving a maliciously crafted image or a certain type of attachment. And this is the sort of thing that was used to hack Jeff Bezos' phone a number of years ago through WhatsApp. I believe it was the Saudi government actually got access to Jeff Bezos' smartphone by someone sent him a video clip, or what was supposedly a video clip, via WhatsApp, and they got access to his phone, and hilarity ensued. So these particular exploits can affect iPhones 8 and later, all models of iPad Pro, iPad Air 3rd generation and later, iPad Proper 5th generation and later, and iPad Mini 5th generation and later, Macs running macOS Ventura, and Apple Watch Series 4 and later. So if you have any of those devices, go and check. And even if you're not in the mood to doing a full software update, what Apple is doing now with a lot of devices nowadays is allowing simply security updates. So they're usually a little bit quicker, and you're not committed to doing like a full-on system software update if you don't want to quite yet for software compatibility reasons and the like. So if you're an Apple user and you have an Apple, iPad, iPhone, Mac, Apple Watch, get those security updates happening ASAP. Just because we're an Apple doesn't mean you're invincible. What's that?
I need to go. I'm panicking. I literally have not updated anything. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, one thing to look at is that this was actually used to deploy mercenary spyware. Like NSO Group has this software called Pegasus, and it was used to deploy that. So this isn't just your run of the mill. Like, this was a targeted attack. When they say it's in the market, they're probably not coming for us. But Tasia, you've kind of run afoul of Google, so.
Sorry. My automatic updates are on. I just wanted to check. So I don't know. I'm just going to assume it did it, but my Mac is at risk, I guess.
Yeah.
My watch updated the other day, but guys, set your automatic security updates, by the way.
Mom, I know you're watching.
Good idea. And in other Apple news today, they may have had a little September event that happens. Oddly enough, every September, and it usually features some new iPhones. It used to feature some music. They often had music and iPhone event combined, but then a little thing called the Apple Watch came along and pushed music out of the way. So nowadays it's the iPhone and Apple Watch event, as the Apple Watch, according to Apple, is the perfect companion. These are our most personal computing devices ever. So, and more people have Apple Watches nowadays. So it makes sense to introduce them in around the same time. So what we're going to do here is a little back and forth. Tasia's going to talk to us about the Apple Watch, and then Gray's going to talk to us about the Apple Watch Ultra. Then we're going to we've got some other nonsense to talk about, some issues that those new models raise. Then we'll throw back to Tasia to talk about the iPhone, and then Poppy, Tasia's dog, is going to talk to us about what color iPhone she wants. And then Gray is going to lead us through some of the new features of the iPhone 15. And it's interesting because there's going to be a lot of, you know what, I'm going to save what I'm thinking right now for a little bit later. How about that? Then we've got some, other issues that those new iPhone models raise. And then we've got our usual fun and games with a bit of entertainment before we get to our projects and picks. We're going to try and keep it to a tight 60 today. We've been doing pretty well lately. Are you ready?
I think Poppy is now ready. Yes, thank you.
She's not going to start licking herself again?
Sorry. She started barking at the ghost. I don't even, when animals do that. Anyway.
All right. So Apple's doing their pre-recorded presentations as they have ever since 2020 now, and they're very slick. I noticed Jeff Williams, the COO, who by some accounts is perhaps going to be picked as the next CEO when Tim finally rides his rides off into the sunset to retire on a dynamic island somewhere. But pretty slick. And it started off with this kind of, it's actually a really somewhat moving little series of vignettes about people whose lives have been saved by various Apple devices, such as their Apple Watch or iPhone, thanks to things like fall detection and crash detection and the heart monitoring and stuff like that. So that was kind of neat. They didn't overplay it. I thought that was pretty tastefully done. And then they proceeded into this, I don't know, slightly cringy little skit around a boardroom table at Apple HQ, where Mother Nature appears and is holding Apple to account for all their environmental goals that they aim to meet by 2020. And it was kind of funny to see some Apple executives, quote unquote, acting, and Tim Cook, seeming nervous and whatnot, having to confront Mother Nature. But it was just, I guess, a slightly less dry way for them to get across their environmental goals to the public and give a bit of update without just basically standing in front of a giant screen and listing off bullet points. Before we get into the specifics, real quick, Tasia, what did you think? Did you happen to see that bit and have any thoughts?
I did not see that bit.
Okay. Pass. Gray?
I saw that bit and it promptly lobotomized itself out of my brain.
Perfect. All right. Moving on. Mother Nature, A-okay. By 2030, everything is going to be Irie. All right.
Yeah, but the whole point of that is that was their big shtick with the Apple Watch Series 9, is it's Apple's first ever carbon neutral product.
Well, take it away then, Tasia.
And now I'm going to give you the rest of the highlights. Well, as we know, we're not surprised with the announcement. We got Apple Watch Series 9, obviously, but it's got an S9 chip that, Apple always does these things where they say things like, it's 60% faster, or it has 60% more transmitters. And it's like, okay, sure. Like, none of us could actually really quantify that, but sure. So essentially they're saying it's going to run 30% faster. It's going to process your machine learning tasks at least twice as fast. Obviously you can still expect all day battery life. I would still say that probably depends on how much you're using.
Did you notice they said all day 18-hour battery
18
life?
hour, exactly.
Yeah, that's a new wrinkle, because I guess maybe some people, maybe they don't want to run afoul of the FTC or something like that, because a day is technically 24 hours. So now they're hedging just a little. Correct.
And it'll depend like how heavy of a user you are. So I'm always kind of weary with that type of stuff. But there's actually a few little updates. Well, one kind of good update to Siri, I guess, because I don't know that she's going to get more helpful. So don't get too excited. But requests are actually now going to run on device. So it should be faster and more secure, which, regardless of whether or not she's more helpful, she's now, I keep calling her she, she's now going to be able to access your health data. So that's pretty cool. Like you'll seemingly be able to ask her like health inquiries, and that's going to start later this year in English and Mandarin as the initial rollout, and then that'll roll out to more languages later, which I thought was like, yeah, if she can't do a lot of stuff outside of the user, sorry Siri, but you really can't. It's like, yeah, let's beef her up and give her some more juice to help us. So I think I'm very curious. I would be very curious to try that, but we'll see. So above that, she has second generation ultra wideband chip that's going to allow you to see both distance and direction to your iPhone. And once you get close, there's haptic and audible feedback that will guide you to its location, even if it's in the other room. So that was something pretty cool that, like, Tristan, I know you thought that one was pretty cool.
And
Tristan
so
was keeping us up to date all day with when we were missing announcements, and I was like, that is pretty neat.
rapid fire
Yeah.
message. And it's similar to when you are tracking another device or an Apple tag using your iPhone. So similar sort of sensitivity there. And there's more on that news that we'll save for the iPhone a little bit later on as well. So what is this new gesture that they've introduced?
This is the coolest thing. Like, so obviously I missed the live of this, so I was like watching everything back in a replay, and I had to like double take it because I was just like, am I seeing this properly? So it's called double tap, but it's not like what you think, like double tap on a screen. It's your index finger and your thumb together. You tap twice, hence the double tap, and that's going to control the primary button in an app. So like they gave some examples where you could use it to stop a timer, you could play or pause music, snooze an alarm, like that kind of thing. But it can also launch your smart stack from your watch face, I believe. And then if you double tap again, you can scroll through those widgets. So without using the digital crown. So to me, first of all, can we get an amen for the unbelievable tech behind that? Like, knowing like your blood flow and like your gestures to even get that minute of a movement. But you guys know how much I love an accessibility feature. And to me, this is just like another added accessibility bonus. This was honestly one of the coolest announcements. I know everybody was talking about, we'll get into the whole USB-C thing. And that got all the big news leading into it. This was so cool.
And it was immediately evoked the gesture that partially solved the problem or was able to remove the need for external controllers for the Apple Vision Pro, which was teased earlier this year. And they showed one of the gestures being someone just doing that same thing with one of their hands, and then the external cameras in the Apple Vision Pro would see that. So this gesture, it's just like a new announcement, but it's actually turns out that this feature has been available buried in the accessibility settings on the Apple Watch for a couple of years now. And previously it was called the double pinch. And it was been available on Apple Watch Series 4 and later for a while. So I actually dug in today and find those settings. I wasn't able to get it going quite right. So again, the newer watches it'll operate a bit better because it does rely on the S9 more heavily, because as you mentioned, Tasia, it's doing things like there's the gyroscope, the accelerometer, and the blood flow, and it's seeing how when you do this. And then one of the other gestures that they didn't get into, but is one of the built-in accessibility features, is called a clench. So there's the pinch and there's the clench, and then there's a double pinch and double clench. But now they've simply rebranded the pinch and double pinch as tap and double tap, or double tap.
It should have stayed pinch.
You can also scroll through lists by moving through your fingers.
For real?
I've been using this since it came out.
There you go.
It is great. And it doesn't rely on the S9 processor. That's bunk. This is like this. It's fine. It's fine on the Ultra. It's fine on the 8.
That's why
I have a 6, so maybe that's why it's a little janky for me.
The struggle.
Yeah, the struggle is real.
Yeah, but like the difference between the 8 and the 9, like if you've got an 8, it's going to run fine.
For sure. For sure. So, and then one of the other things that was announced with these new new Apple Watches was the new bands. And what do you think of the new bands that they showed off today, Tasia? Because they're getting rid of a certain material and they're moving toward something else.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I wish from their innovation. And everybody talks about this all the time. I know, and I'm just going to say it, is we need something prettier. Like, we need something that we can wear to, like, different occasions, and people aren't going to be like, she's got an Apple Watch on her wrist. Because even when I buy third-party, so, like, you guys all remember this is just the band that you can get with at the old school. This is Series 6. But I buy third-party bands for different occasions. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And none of them still, like, you still can't jazz it up. Do you remember, was it last year or the year before? I can't remember. Didn't they do a partnership with, like, what was the high-end
Hermes.
fashion? Thank you very
Hermes.
much.
Yeah, the
Hermes
double tour.
band.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still, like, first of all, who, like, that is so insanely expensive. And second, it still looks like a janky old Apple Watch on your wrist. So I think the new bands are cool. There's some cool new designs, but it's just kind of like
specks of recycled plastic in some of them.
Yeah, cool.
Look like a jawbreaker.
I know, but that's what I mean. It's like you could make them out of recycled materials and reach your whole carbon neutral goal, but make them a little like nicer looking, I think.
And speaking of Hermes, they launched a series of new Hermes wrist straps as well. Again, moving away from the leather, because Hermes is known for their fine leather wrist straps, the single tour and the double tour, and they're quite nice. But this is all part of Apple's push toward carbon neutrality, because there's a certain amount of intensity that requires a lot of water. And people talk about the fact that leather comes from cows and whatnot. We got to remember that they don't like harvest leather from they don't have cows just for leather. They take the leather from cows used for beef farming. So if that declines over time, then there may be less available supply of leather from beef cows per se. So one could argue, perhaps in good faith, does it make more sense to be focusing on new synthetic materials that might, if you don't reclaim them, that they may have trouble breaking down in the environment? And what is the full story here? Because I mean, leather is biodegradable, right? But the process to make it, like the tanning and all that, and there's some chemicals involved. It's like they didn't really get into the details of. They just said basically categorically, well, these things are going to be better than leather because our 2030 carbon goals. Any thoughts on that, Gray?
I mean, there is no other Apple product that something has to die for.
Yeah, but they're not. But that's kind of.
I realize that it's dying anyway.
Yeah,
there is no other Apple product that you look at and you're like, yeah, something died for my keyboard.
But Gray, they are to die for.
Absolutely, you know what? And that I see what's at stake. But
well, see what you did there.
Right. So here's the thing. Moving to leather alternatives, great choice. I've got to say, the Milanese Loop is a really nice band. The stainless steel, really nice band. But that's the thing. I think it's got more of the Milanese Loop actually looks good on anyone's wrist. The stainless steel link band, it's big.
It's big.
Yeah. If you've got big meaty, it jangles around on my wrist now. So, but my parents both have Milanese loops. My dad's got a gold one. My mom's got a silver one, and they are gorgeous. Like they're just they can wear them out. But they've also got kind of more of a classic style. So yeah, I hear you. I'm just not really sure how we cram that much power and screen into something more elegant until cloud computing. I don't know. But the Ultra obviously being my everyday driver, which is actually on charge right now because it goes so long that I forget that it's running out of battery. Right, like the 36 hours on this, and we're seeing once again that the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is going to have that same 36 hour or 72 hour if you go with low power mode, which I have done like twice.
So you charge every night, pretty much?
No, I'm like every 2 or 3 days.
Every 2 or 3 days. Oh, I see. So you're never running out. So yeah, why don't you, while we're talking about the Apple Watch Ultra 2, why don't you walk us through? I mean, it seems like a pretty incremental
Yes.
update. I guess they don't want to burn all those people who spent, the pretty penny for the highest end Apple Watch last fall. Not that Apple cares that much about that, but I mean, it was such a departure from the main Apple Watch that maybe we'll see more additions next year. What were some of the basic main features this time around, Gray?
So big thing, the display is even brighter, which is something that I've never had an issue with. But at 2000 nits of brightness, that Apple Watch Ultra, it makes my Series 4 look like it's not on. It's really just an incredibly bright watch. I don't know about you guys, but the flashlight feature on the Apple Watch is it's my number 2 used feature after Find My Phone. But the flashlight on the Apple Watch Ultra is incredibly bright, and I fear that it may bring down low-flying aircraft with the Apple Watch Ultra 2.
So the regular the first Ultra had 2000 nit display, and now the new one and they're using 2000 nit display, I think in the 9, and now the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is getting a 3000 nit display.
Yeah. It's going to be used for self-defense. You just someone trying to mug you, boom,
just blind people.
You've got that action button, pop, boom. It's good. It's like Captain America's shield, but with light. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. There's a modular Ultra face that they said is coming to the Apple Watch Ultra 2. If it does not come to the Apple Watch Ultra 1, I will riot. That's pretty much all. There's support from some new cycling accessories, and it said something about Ant Plus support, and I didn't even know that there was Ant support. So I don't know what that is. I will tell you this: the Ultra is a phenomenal experience. It is fast, it is bright, the battery lasts a long time. It's what I want the Apple Watch to be. And so now that we're starting to see these features trickle down to the Apple Watch, I love that this is how this has worked for Apple, right? I get to pay a premium for the thing I want, and everybody else gets to those features the next year.
Yeah, it's basically like the relationship of the iPhone Pro to the regular iPhone. The early adopters pay the premium for the cutting edge features, and then as they get the economies of scale going and work out any quirks, then they eventually trickle down to the other models. And that's how tech works. So I'm glad that they found that other tier. Say again, sorry.
It gets a double tap from me.
Double. Oh, I see. Nice. One of the other features I heard is that the night mode will now kick in automatically if you want it to, rather than having to set it deliberately. I hope that's going to be a setting, but
we're talking about the night mode on the modular face. So this is the face that during the day it's in color, and then at night, currently what I do is I roll that up on the crown, and it rolls into red.
Gotcha.
So
and now it sounds like it'll be an option that'll just to do it automatically, so you don't have to, save some wear and tear on that digital crown for you.
I'm wondering if that's, again, an Ultra 2 exclusive feature, because that's a software thing at best. And this is where I'm starting to, I'm a little
we'll see.
Today.
Yeah.
I'm a little grumpy today.
Yeah, they often don't say that, but sometimes we do get the software surprises, and then sometimes we don't, and you just gotta.
That's when I'm grumpy.
I'm. This is the 6. This is only 3 years old, and I think my Zero lasted 5 years, so I think I got another couple of years to go. But I might go Ultra next time around. Okay, Tej, you tempted by the Ultra, even though it's large?
I'm not tempted by the Ultra because it's too big.
Mm-hmm.
The price is too high for me.
You don't dive or anything like that, do you?
No, and that's what I mean. Like, for what I do, I don't think I would get the money out of it, like, for my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I love it for other people. I just I don't mean that in a mean way. I like it. I get the place in the market for it, but it's not my place.
Where your place is in the warm embrace of the iPhone 15. Do you think, can Apple get you back from Planet Pixel?
I want you back.
Well, I'm going to get the 15 Pro, like 100%. That's what I'm going to get. I'm very excited. But I'll talk about the computational photography in a second when it comes to iPhone 15, because they are playing with that a little bit, and it's hearkening to my wonderful Google exceptional computational photography. But first, we need to talk about the redesign, because y'all, we're getting the dynamic island.
Whoop, whoop.
With some Pro users from the 14, right, would be familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like, guys, I'm coming from an 11 Pro.
It's going to be such a huge jump.
This whole thing, like, There's new buttons. Guys, stuff is going to be so different for me. I might have to be relearning how to use this with all of these gestures,
They
but
have a pink option too. I think it's
they do.
yeah.
So there's like Super Retina XDR display. There again, we want to talk about screen brightness. I mean, whatever. They throw out these things like it's twice as bright as the
All the
iPhone
nits.
14. I mean, what does it mean? So like it comes in the same two sizes. So there's the 6.1 inch and the iPhone 15 Plus, which is 6.7 inch. So obviously I like the smaller, like, isn't it funny now how 6.1 is smaller? We've all just gotten so used to that.
I remember
Like,
when 6 was huge.
I
Most of us
know.
had 3.5 or 4.
That's what I mean. Like, it was not that long ago when I was like, 6?
Samsung Note comes out. It's like, what are you, crazy? That's never going to happen.
Pretty
It
soon
happened.
we are going to be walking around with full computers in our pockets again. It's just crazy. But anyway, they're also saying it features like a ceramic shield now. So it's supposed to be the toughest smartphone glass, according to Apple. But they also have a new cool contoured edge because they have like this aluminum enclosure. It's supposed to like feel better in your hand, be a little bit lighter.
Not quite as edgy as the current ones, which have those squared off edges.
Exactly. It's more of like a round. Weren't we just talking about this with the cars? And I love a round edge. Well, they listened.
And you're so you're coming from the 11 Pro, which is very rounded because it had the same design language as the as the 10, the 10s,
Yes,
and the 10R, and so on. So this will be. It'll soften the transition because going from those very rounded ones to the current, say the 14s, and or I guess was it the 12 that they switched to the squared off edges? It was
yeah, I think
little
so.
for some people find like depending on the size of the hands, kind of dug in a little. Now, do you use a case on your phone or
Never
no?
go anywhere without protection.
Okay, so you might
that's
not
the
even
other
notice.
thing.
So
Exactly.
yeah.
This is what we all need to remember when we talk about these, how sexy these phones look and all these specs and the aluminum this and the blah, 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 that. I mean, we cover it with a big old case that like, you know how many times I have dropped this thing? Thank God. This is a spec case that I have, but them and I had like a rock form case before, but yeah, like, I mean, I don't think it'll be that much of a difference once you get a case on it. But you mentioned, computational photography type stuff. So we get to talk just like for a second about, they have a new updated main camera. It's now 48 megapixel with what are they saying? A quad pixel sensor and 100% focus pixels for fast autofocus. But where this gets really cool for me is kind of more in the computational side of things, because that's like my favorite thing with my Google Pixel. So,
and they've been able to do so much with the Pixel series using older sensors, but they've just got such great computational grunt and the software for optimizing the photos. I mean, it'll only get you so far, but they've managed to get like 3 years out of some of these older sensors at least. So
it's incredible. Like when everybody gets caught up in like the megapixel of a camera, to me, it's more like, no. That's important to a point on these smartphones, but then you really have to look at like what's happening behind the scenes and how it's all stitching those images together. So like some of the cool kind of quick highlights that they're going to be able to do is you're not going to have to switch manually to portrait mode now. So using machine learning, iPhone 15 is going to detect when there's a person or a pet, this works on animals,
cats
in
and
the
dogs.
frame. Yep, cats and dogs. And then it's going to like capture that depth automatically for you. But should it not do that, or should you not want that to happen, you're going to be able to do this later on after the photo is taken in the Photos app, which is like, this is my language. This is my love language that Google Pixel speaks to me, is all this editing with photos you have that's now done in your app after. The other cool thing that's going to happen on the back end is the depth focus now and control that you're going to have is you can switch the focus from one subject to another after a photo is taken. You guys, I can't wait. I can't wait.
It sort of harkens back to the Lytro light field camera that we saw years and years ago
Yes.
that had so many different lenses and sensors. And the whole idea was that you could then alter the focus after the fact. And now with these phones with multiple lenses on them and the software behind them, we're getting to that to a certain extent too, which is pretty cool.
It's very cool. But wait, there's more. Well, moving away from that, because I could talk about that all day, but iPhone 15 also features that second gen ultra wideband chip. So how they've kind of pitched it here is that this is going to really help with the Find My Friends action. So, they used an example of how it's going to help in situations like if you're in a crowded train station or a farmer's market or something with a lot going on, and you need very specific, precise directions. So if your friend shares their location, you're now going to be guided to them with very clear directions and distance, which is kind of cool, just getting down more into like the minutia of that. But one of the other cool things I thought that go ahead.
Before we move on, and that's again, they've taken that from the AirTags thing. So being able to find your AirTags from your phone, and so it's typical classic Apple where they prove a feature with in one use case, and then they figure it out, make polish it up, and now they move it over to from finding your device, your other devices, and your things attached to AirTags, now to finding your friends with it using that same interface that we've all been trained to use for a year, and it makes it even more useful, but in different kind of use cases, which is pretty wild.
Mm-hmm. So, besides them claiming like better audio quality during calls and like that kind of stuff, I don't, I'm always like, Apple, just get on to the good stuff, because like you could claim whatever you want, and like, yeah, all new devices are just going to be better at certain things. But when you're coming from an old device, the one thing that got me probably, I don't know, almost the most excited was that you remember how last year Apple introduced their emergency SOS via satellite. So for those times when you're in an emergency and you don't have Wi-Fi or cell signal, they are building on this in what I think is a genius, most logical next step. So they're now expanding this to give us roadside assistance via satellite. So this is going to work very similar to how emergency SOS works, in that you're going to text roadside assistance. You're going to select on the screen what type of help you need. The interface is going to walk you through how to connect to a satellite, and then it's going to share the information you provided with a roadside assistance provider. So right now, this feature is going to roll out in the US with AAA. And just like we saw with the emergency SOS, like all this is going to be once again included free for 2 years. We still don't know what the price is going to be after 2 years,
that, yeah.
because we're still only in the first year of that promo from the iPhone 14 push. So it's just hard to say like what they'll charge for that. But they're pretty much saying like if you're already a AAA member, then this is covered. So I'm curious to know how that will look after that 2-year period. If it's like, yeah, you're a AAA member, but there's still another fee because you're accessing satellites. So like, it's just kind of interesting, but it's, to me, one of the coolest features. I mean, I keep saying that, but I'm just like, man, people pumped up so much other stuff, but I love this.
And again, it's one of those things that they've finding a new use case for something that they been had out in the field for a year. And so sure, you're hiking, but only so many people are hiking, right? That's
bingo.
And so
that was a niche market, right?
Yeah, you test it with the niche market.
Yeah, you can fearmonger certain people, right? Like me, who you guys know I don't need a new watch, but you guys remember when Series 8 came out and when 14 came out and they were talking about emergency SOS, I was like, oh no, I don't need an upgrade, but this makes me want to get this specifically for that feature because I'm the market of the fear-mongering market, like the what ifs. But this now expands it. First of all, smart business decision for them to partner with roadside assistance companies. Like, hello, that could be lucrative. Mm-hmm. And second, what another great way to market to people who are like, I'm not afraid of like being in a crash or falling or having an emergency during a hike or whatever. But like I have AAA. So this again just plays into what a smart idea. Now
What
it's
if you're out of
even
range, cell
easier.
range?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you think if you're driving, like even between us and when we go see like my sister-in-law in California, there's like dead zones. And I always think about that. Like when it was like 120 degrees, we packed like extra water in the car. We had like all this stuff. And I always think, what if we're in a dead zone and we get a flat tire and we have to pull over? How are we even going to, unless another car stops and goes to get for help, we can't connect to anything. So this is kind of just another fun upgrade.
I don't know if we're necessarily seeing the downside to this though. And that is the
Which is
American
what?
horror movie industry. What if you pull over in an area where the hills have eyes and now you can get out without a problem?
Yeah, where's the drama?
That's just, they decimated the homegrown horror market. And it's a sad day for us all.
Well, they had to, once everyone got cell phones and it was so easy to communicate with people, they had to like figure out a way in movies to make it like, oh, my battery's dead. Oh, I'm out of range. Like you have to like all those obvious things. And now it's like, okay, you have to create another way for those things to fail.
This was where The Cabin in the Woods actually really nailed it because, well, just go watch the movie.
It's a great movie.
Well, there's one thing we didn't talk about yet.
You kind of buried the lead there a bit.
I mean, I mentioned it.
Before we get, speaking of flat tires, I just wanted to mention that I give a shout out to the tire pressure monitoring system, the TPMS, in my little 2016 Kia Soul EV, because I was driving down for a little business meeting / lunch today, and I noticed a light came on. It's like, oh, interesting. And luckily, I just got back. It was my longest trip ever. I think I went to Salt Spring and then came home like over the weekend. Then came home up Vancouver Island and had to charge up on the way and whatever. But luckily, nothing happened to any tires at that point because I'm all out of that sealant stuff that I used last year and didn't get any new stuff. I've got the inflator. A lot of cars don't have spare tires anymore, especially EVs, because they're saving the room for battery packs, etc. But TPMS came on today. It's like, oh, I should stop by. I should stop at the gas station and check my tires. And I visual inspection, they looked okay, but when I stopped at the gas station, it's like and they have the tire pressure thing with the inflator, and it's like one of my tires was quite low, and it's like looking at it, it's like and luckily enough, I saw, oh, look, there's a nail, and I had a nail in the tire in the other car a couple of months ago. It's like all the freaking construction that's going on in the city everywhere you go. So you're just driving over nails, or maybe it was from my road trip. But anyway, shout out to TPMS.
Woo!
Nice.
Please proceed. What is the one feature that people were talking about for so long, and the EU was like almost going to force Apple to do it, but Apple's like, we're doing this on our own.
You can't fire me. I quit.
They're conforming to European standards. They can pitch it however they want. That's what's happening. And iPhone 15, the whole 15 lineup will now have USB-C charging capabilities. It's coming. Bye-bye, Lightning.
Oh, you mean USB-C that Apple had a large part in actually developing, and actually they have on their MacBooks and their iPads and they just hadn't gotten around to putting it on the iPhone yet for whatever reason. It's not like they were anti-USB-C. They're just getting to it. It's their highest volume product, right?
They needed the EU to be like, this needs to happen now.
No one needs the EU to do anything, frankly. They don't even know how things work, the internet or gadgets, or don't even get me started on the freaking EU. I know we've talked about them before, but sorry. So USB-C. Well,
there's your roundup.
How's the flame war going? We good?
Good grief. Anyway,
so USB-C, great idea, but what's the catch? Before we get into the iPhone Pro, what's the catch of this with the USB-C on the regular iPhones? It's the same if you're doing any data transfer, which most people don't do anymore. It's the same speed as Lightning, 480 megabits per second, because they're using the USB 2 spec. It's only on the Pro that they're using, vaguely USB 3 speeds, but even then, it's only 10 gigabits. So anyway, and then there's, as we all know, cables. You got to test your cables for their power support. Do they support fast charging? What speeds do the cable support and whatnot? So read the fine print, folks. That's all I'm saying.
Can I have just a moment about that? When you plug in like a high-speed cable, or you plug your iPhone into a high-speed cable, you put it on a wireless charger, and it does the circle thing. And it tells you, yes, I'm charging at high speed. Why is that always a mystery? right? Why are there not high-speed indicators on the screen? You know, the MacBook doesn't have it when you plug in a faster charger. It just says it's charging. I would like to know when I'm charging slowly. Why do we not have a fast charge icon? You get this little thing, and maybe you heard the ping, or maybe you saw that.
Especially given that Apple goes so far as to when you take when you put a case on your iPhone. So I've got iPhone right here, and you put an Apple case on it. This is a MagSafe case, and you put it on. What does it do? It gives you that little MagSafe circle in the color of your case. That was a brown circle to match this brown leather case. They're doing details like that, and we're not getting fast charging indicators. Give your head a shake, Apple.
Oh, that's cool.
The tribe has spoken.
Right? I mean, it's great. It's just one of those little fit and finish things. It's a little whimsical too, which I like it because Apple has been largely whimsy free for so long now. But anyway, so
whimsy free.
So yeah, just a little asterisk with the USB-C on the non-Pro models. It's not that people are doing a lot of syncing anymore nowadays. Everything's cloud, but if you're shooting video, hopefully you're getting the Pro anyway, and you've got a 10 megabits, which is a little better. It's not the full USB 3 spec necessarily. But Gray, why don't you get us into some of the other features? Tasia told us the Pro camera from the 14 finally came to the 15, the regular. But what enhancements have they made to the 15 there? Because now they're really trying to separate the Pro, the 15 and the 15 Pro. That's like they started that with the 14 and 14 Pro. So now we've got the 15 and the 15 Plus, and then a 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max. Why? I mean, what features are there in the 15 Pro and Pro Max that would make people want the more expensive option? Because they're not cheap either.
They're really not. I mean, if we're talking about cameras still, there's even a line differentiating the Pro and the Pro Max, which we talked about on the podcast last week, which is the periscope lens feature. I want to go to this one right away because this is, we've seen other brands who have talked about their ridiculous levels of optical zoom. I think there was some sort of like a body out there that somebody stuffed a camera into the battery compartment of, or it's stuffed a phone into the battery compartment of, and it apparently made phone calls. I don't know, but like looking at this periscope feature, I hate it because it's not on the Pro. I nearly got arthritis in my my pinky finger when I had the 7 Plus or whatever it was. It was too big of a phone. And I do not want to have an inguinal hernia carrying a phone. So the Pro is where I want to stay. And then putting this really awesome zoom lens.
5x optical zoom, equivalent to 120 millimeters.
It's great. It's beautiful.
But if typical Apple, they're not calling it periscope. What are they calling it?
What did they call it then this time? It was, I don't know.
Tetraprism design.
Tetraprism, yeah.
Because it goes, there's four, yes, exactly. Because there's just the way it bounces. It's not like a single bend, like a single bounce, like a periscope. It's like multiple periscopes. Apple's just got to, they do it once, we do it 4 times. Take that.
So we've got this lovely optical zoom. We're 48 megapixel. It does have the new ultra wideband. So again, finding your stuff is great. USB-C. So now we can hear Tasia not complain anymore. Main feature for me there.
And transfer our video, our chunky 4K video files.
So here's the funny thing though. I actually have a few people who are Android folk right now in my life who I love dearly, who said that this is the day, this is the moment that they come over to the iPhone. And I'm like, wow, for real?
Wow.
Because of USB-C?
But that's already, what do you mean? Oh, because they were waiting for that? No.
Yeah. Yes.
Why would that be stopping you? That has nothing to do with the operating
cables
system.
And adapters, like,
so okay. And then here, I hear that, but I've been looking around for a lightning cable in this room for the last 3 or 4 days, and I can't find one. I've got USB-C in my ears, and I'm like,
I got the opposite problem.
Mother Nature's telling me something. So,
but the problem, I'm gonna play. I don't know if it's devil's advocate, but like I'm gonna play the other problem. I have old AirPods Pro.
Yes.
So you can see where this has gone real friggin' quick.
Yeah, same.
Now I'm gonna still have to keep. Because I don't need to update these. So now it's like I'm still going to have different chargers for different things. So it's just like...
Did the first gen not
Tasia, you just have to...
I just have to update everything.
They do. Oh, I think they do. They charge with Qi. I'm not sure if they charge with MagSafe. Mine charge on the Qi charger.
Mine?
I've got both
I
here.
don't know. These are pretty old. I don't know.
Well, Tasia, you and I both have the AirPods first generation, and they will charge wirelessly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, these do.
There it is.
Boy, they work on my Anchor 3-in-1, and I'm just remembering that now as I look at it on my desk.
Goodbye, lightning. So long.
There goes
lightning.
my whole argument. So anyway,
But then Apple's also introduced a USB-C charging case for the second gen AirPods Pro as well. So when the second gen AirPods Pro first came out, they had the Lightning case, and so I assume that you'd be able to buy that case separately if you really wanted to. But again, it's just one of those things. Oh, it's another thing to buy. I mean, most of us are hopefully going to run these things into the ground before we start replacing them. But
I just bought it instead of the AirPods Pro 2 because I kept losing my AirPods Pro 1 and I couldn't find them. But with the case identifier, I can do that. So,
and they've got there's a speaker in the case now too, so you can
So that's why the AirPods Pro 1 stay at home because I can't lose them too far. I left the AirPods Pro 2 in a restaurant in Toronto when I was staying in Cambridge, and that sucked.
Oh no.
Knew where they were though.
I left mine. Remember, we went and saw Oppenheimer, and I left mine had fallen out of my pocket somehow, and I got them I could see on Find My that they were still in the movie theater, and bless their hearts, the staff. I guess someone found it, and I was able to recover it the next day from the management at the theater. Shout out to Cineplex Riverport.
They were able to identify they were mine because mine has a emoji of my face on it going like this. Yep.
What else we have in this? Grant, why don't you tell us about the new materials they're using to build the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max?
It is titanium. Oh, that's great. So stainless steel has been a wonderful material for Apple. It's delightful. It's too heavy. And I am the first one to admit that I would love a lighter phone. So them going to titanium it's great. I mean, we're looking at more scratch resistance. We're looking at a harder material. We're looking at a lighter material. I mean,
it's grade 5 titanium, whatever that means.
But it's better than grade 4, not as good as grade 6.
It's just better, you guys. Let's make up a number. It's 70% better.
More durable and lighter, which is great. And slightly slimmer bezel. So the phone dimensions are actually a little bit slimmer because...
New cases.
Then you're going to put a big old case on.
Oh, boy.
It's okay if you get an Apple one and it's MagSafe. It'll...
Along with sexy watch bands, I want sexy, slim cases. Like, I want protection without it feeling like there's protection.
And that goes to today's sponsor, Skin. Anyway,
we were talking about this when you had to step away, Gray. We're talking, one of the things is the new design of both the 15 and the 15 Pro. There's slightly more curved edges as opposed to the sharper edges on the 14s, the 12s to the 14s. Now,
I hate it.
But that doesn't really make much of a difference if you've got a case anyway. Do you go commando, or do you always rock a case on your phones?
I'm always rocking a case and sometimes MagSafe. No, it's like the moments where it isn't.
You learn the hard way.
I have anxiety. Like it's just I've launched this thing across the room dozens of times, and because of the case, it's fine. I can't. I don't care how.
I got commando out of my system with the 3G. Just dropped it. Yeah, smashed the screen there. I think my original I smashed the screen too. So, yeah, get a good case preferably with a bit of a lip. So if it lands face down, the screen hopefully will be fine.
But now this screen is the toughest in the industry.
I will still put a glass screen protector on top of it because it's like an oil rig, right? Oil rigs don't rust because they have sacrificial ingots. It's actually what they're called to take the oxidization. That glass screen protector, it gets sacrificed to the oops gods, and you get a new one. If you buy the Belkins, they will give you a new one if you break it. I've been through 4. Belkin hates me.
Wow. Okay. Anything else to add? Yeah. We got a new processor. Again, one way they're differentiating between the Pro and the non-Pro models like they did last year. So last year was weird because the 14 regular had the same processor as the 13 and 13 Pro, and then they only put it stuck with the A15, and then they put the A16 in the iPhone 14 Pro only. So now this year the 15 and the 15 Plus are getting the A16 processor, but the 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max are getting the A17 Pro processor. Gray, what's the advantages of this new processor? Is it just advancing a number for its own sake?
It drives more quads per channel, and so I think there's something like it's 21 gigawatts.
That's right. And you can get to 88 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So 2 high performance cores, so 10% up to 10% faster. A few other things, 4 high efficiency cores, so maybe a bit better for the battery life, better performance per watt.
Johnny Sergi is basically just cackling every time they release one of these things because they're packed with power. But has anything challenged even the 15, like the A15 Bionic? Yeah. No.
And then I assume this is going to be the foundation for this. They didn't even mention, is this 3 nanometer or is this still?
I don't think it is.
They didn't mention that. Oh, no, it is. Yeah.
Is it?
The A17 Pro is Apple's first chip built on TSMC's 3 nanometer manufacturing process. So pack in those transistors even tighter, more efficient, more power per watt, etc. Sorry?
Was that more efficient?
More efficient, yes. 19 billion transistors. There you go, Tasia. Up from 16 billion. So the numbers keep going up.
I mean, that's a lot of transistors.
See, more quads per channel, right?
Exactly. Speeds and feeds. Okay. So any last thoughts on the iPhones? iPhone 15, iPhone 15 Plus, iPhone 15 Pro, iPhone 15 Pro Max. Such a
I'm
word
upgrading.
salad.
I'm upgrading to the 15 Pro from the 11 Pro. I've been waiting for her.
Love it.
And I'm breaking my rule again. New form factor, new USB-C. I usually never go first gen on stuff. And I'm like, we're going. Because the 11 Pro, if you guys remember, was like first gen for what this was for some of the features and specs and stuff. So like, hey, she's been good to me. I'm going again.
Nice.
All right. Now that some people are taking this opportunity to upgrade, even though on the surface, there's going to be articles out there, people saying, this is like, they're the same. What's the big deal? People don't take the long view. Like, sure, there are a number of small upgrades, year by year. Most people don't upgrade every single year. So it's like, what about after 2 years? Most people don't even upgrade every 2 years. When it comes to 3 years, 4 years, like, holy crap, those improvements continue to compound. And then by the time you actually do upgrade, it's like, wow, we're way, way ahead now. So, but when we do upgrade devices, and especially when those devices move to new connection standards, we have a little bit of a potential e-waste issue on our hand. And that was one of Apple's arguments to the EU. It's like, well, you can't force us to go to USB-C because now we're going to have all these old lightning cables that people are going to have to get rid of. So what do we do with the old stuff, such as old lightning cables? Well, we go back to the old reduce, reuse, recycle before, we go and just like throw everything into the e-waste recycling in our local municipality, what have you. Maybe think about repurposing. Is there anyone in your family that you could give hand-me-downs to with your certain devices? Maybe some folks need lightning cables. So let's reuse as much. I mean, obviously we reduce. We don't upgrade unless we absolutely have to. And then if we do upgrade, then you buy your indulgences. And we're all buying carbon offsets, right? No, Apple's doing it for us. It's okay. They're taking the pain. They're getting toward their carbon neutrality. But yeah, let's reuse stuff as much as possible once we've made the decision to reduce. And then and if you do actually have to get rid of stuff, there are ways in many municipalities and counties places that collect e-waste, so it can be hopefully recycled in one way or another. Because there's a lot of not only this plastic, which is tricky to recycle, but there's a lot of metals in there too. So we're just going to link an article just for people's reference about some suggestions of what to do with your old tech. And it includes other things like clothing and books and whatnot as well. And this article has been floating around on The Verge for a few years now, and they update it every once in a while, especially when there's new gadget releases. Tasia, anything that you tend to do with your old devices or cables or connectors? What's your MO?
Yeah, typically my old devices go to family. I have considered trading this one in this time to offset some of the cost. But I also just want to go right in the store and get it in my hot little hands immediately and not like wait for the online order and the trade and tough to happen. So And there's a couple scratches on this screen. A Taylor Swift keychain scratched it. Actually, when it was still pretty new. And I mean, the screen, it's fine. But yeah, so I don't know. It'll probably go to somebody in family, or what are you really going to get for it? A couple $100 maybe, but.
Well, Apple made a point in their presentation to say for the various devices, so you can get up to $800 back for your used iPhone 11 or newer, and up to like $1,000 back or something like that for your used iPhone Pro, whatever model or newer. And it's like they're saying up to, which they mean last year's model and not the 11s.
Yeah,
And
so I actually looked into it today on the site, and for my 11 Pro, that's it. Now, here's the caveat: is I ticked that it's in good shape, because it is.
Mm-hmm.
There are two very, very fine scratches on the screen that they're not deep. They could get them out very easily, but they may change their mind if they get the device. If I do that, they were saying it's $200 towards the new phone. So to trade in the 11
not
Pro, $200, which listen, it's an old phone.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
Not bad. I think to go back to the company like that, not bad. Now, I don't know that they'd actually give me that if they see the screen and they say, oh no, there's a nick. Like, I mean, I'm not really sure, but.
If you put a screen protector on it, they won't see it. The adhesive from screen protectors fills in those scratches. No kidding.
Interesting.
I've done more than once.
Pro tip.
Gray, what's your usual procedure when you've upgraded devices and whatnot? And what do you do with old devices, old cables, old connectors?
So old devices typically will be sold on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. You will get a better deal there than you will with any of the trade-in services, and you also get to meet some interesting and sometimes sketchy people.
Well, maybe I'll try that.
Yeah, it's a good time. Don't forget to turn off Find My iPhone, format the phone, and find the box that you kept for it, because of course you did, because it's an Apple box, and what's wrong with you?
And if you didn't, I might have one.
Yeah.
I keep all my boxes. I think I have a problem.
I don't. I've started ejecting them into space. It feels really good. I was renting space here in Vancouver at the rates that we pay here for boxes of things. They're gone. The cables, older cables. I've done a couple of things. This year at Burn in the Forest, I gave away cable bundles. So they had a micro, a mini, a USB-C, a Lightning. Just because I have so many of them. So I put them in the little pouches, and that was part of my gifting for the year.
Did you burn the micro USB in the forest? Because those things should die in a fire.
I agree they should die in the fire, but unfortunately, I've got a ton of crap that uses them. Like the PlayStation 3 controllers.
Yep. Oh, no, those are mini USB.
Yes, that's mini USB. So micro
USB is even worse because they're so fragile. The connectors, and they often come dislodged from the motherboards or the circuit boards of the device. Don't even get me started on micro USB.
The other thing that you can do as well is I'm not joking here. You can weave them into a fairly strong rope. So if you don't know,
there you go.
There it is.
Reuse, upcycling.
There it is.
There you go. So if you're climbing using your rope and it gives out your recycled cable rope and it gives out on you, hopefully you can use emergency SOS. Apple can send a tow truck to get you off the cliff.
They would make badass dreads if you were doing like a techno predator.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cultural appropriation. Moving on.
Fair.
Let's we said we were going to keep this a tight 60, and look what happened to us. A couple of 30-year anniversaries. One was kind of in the zeitgeist a little bit because just by way of introduction, Conan O'Brien, like The Simpsons, he was a writer for The Simpsons, could somehow predict the future. And we know that Danny Masterson from that 70s show has got sentenced to 30 years in prison for a little sex crime misunderstanding. Is that what they call it? And there was a clip going around of Conan actually interviewing Danny Masterson, unrelated, like back in 2004 or so. And the exchange went something to do with talking about asking people to grab his privates. And O'Brien said, "I've heard about you and you'll be caught soon. I know you will." And Masterson responded, "I will." So now people are saying Conan knew. 19 years ago, Conan knew. Anyhow, that's why Conan clips have been going in the news. But people might not remember that 30 years ago when Conan went live, taking over from David Letterman. And I remember watching that very first episode in the basement suite, 1993. It was September 13th, 1993, on a big old black and white TV. First season was very awkward, very painful in a lot of ways. First the guests on the first episode included John Goodman, Drew Barrymore, and Tony Randall, who became a regular. I would encourage you to look for it on YouTube. It's a lot of Conan's old stuff is on YouTube there, and it's fun. Conan's a pro, and even then you could see where it was going to go, even though it was a little awkward. But I would encourage you to go and take this opportunity to mine the archives of Conan O'Brien's various incarnations of his show. And now he's got a podcast called Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. Another 30th anniversary that is just past September 10th was, if you can believe it or not, the X-Files. It's been 30 years since friend of the show, Jerome Matthew, actually referred me to the X-Files. And I just wanted to ask either of you, either of you have a favorite episode of the X-Files from all those years?
Oh, I can't remember actual episodes.
Well, there's
That
only
long ago?
There's only 209 of them, Tasia. Now it's time to go
what
back.
I watched last night.
The episodes with Toombs, they who came back every 30 years to eat people's livers.
Right.
Yeah.
I think one of my very favorites. I mean, there's a lot to choose from. There was one starring. I can't remember what it was called. One starring Alex Trebek, and there's a pro wrestler's name. It was a Jesse Ventura, and they starred as Men in Black. Let's see. It's not in this article, but that was. If you just Google Alex Trebek X-Files, it'll come up. It was one of the more tongue-in-cheek episodes. So yeah, X-Files.
Ribisi got his start on the X-Files as Lightning Kid.
That's right. That was a classic episode as well. Okay, let's move to our picks of the week, starting with Tasia. What's your momentous pick?
You guys know I love Wired. That YouTube channel is one of my favorite things. And they always do these series where it's like you ask an expert. So instead of tech support, it's whatever that expert is. So this expert is a penetration tester. So basically that means like he's a hacker that's hired by a company to try to infiltrate. So
Red team.
Yep, he's the red team. He assists the blue team, basically. But it was fascinating. I find all their episodes fascinating, but I just thought this was just so good. People asked really good questions, and he just kind of talked about the tools he uses and what he actually does and how it actually works and stuff he's caught or quote unquote broken into with permission, of course. But it was really fascinating. So yeah, that Wired YouTube channel, man.
Lots of good stuff on there.
Mm-hmm.
One of the fun things they do on the Wired channel is they have somewhat famous people reviewing Google questions about themselves.
Love it.
And revealing the answers. That's good times. Gray, I don't see a link for your momentous pick this week, and we're sure it's not a project, right? Is it an actual pick?
It's a bit of both, actually. Here, let's see. If I can do this.
Okay.
The printer?
You can laser denim.
Laser denim?
Don't let my mom see that.
I am in the process of figuring out all of the things that I can laser onto clothing.
Whoa.
Yeah. I found this out this afternoon.
Very cool. So, and the device that you're using, I guess, would be your momentous pick then? And that device is that one we talked about previously?
Yes, it is. That's the X-Tool M1. And so the X-Tool M1 with, well, I don't have a camera right now. FaceTime? Anyway.
The smart laser engraver and vinyl cutter. So this same device, you're saying, can also do vinyl. I mean, sorry, denim.
I'm literally I'm lasering a jean jacket back there. That's I just shoved my jean jacket in there and I'm lasering it. And it's cool. It gives us like this cool fade. there was somebody on the Facebook group, the X-Tool Facebook group today, who was like, "Hey, yeah, I did this to the back of my jean jacket." And people were like, "Doesn't that weaken the fibers?" At 20% power, at 200 speed, 200 millimeters per second, it doesn't. It literally just shaves off a layer.
Wow.
And hang on a sec. I'm gonna turn the air assist off.
My pick of the week, while Gray is doing that, is season 4 of Barry. So amazing TV series created by Saturday Night Live alumnus Bill Hader, and he directed pretty much every episode of season 4 as well. And it is originally people thought it was a kind of a comedy, and then it kind of got darker and darker as time went on. And I think I talked about season 3 when it came out a year or two ago. He plays an assassin who's trying to move on, and he moves to LA and takes an acting class put on by a guy named Gene Cousineau, as played by Henry Winkler, better known as the Fonz to many from Happy Days. And hilarity ensues. He just can't leave the firm. You know, he gets tied up with the Chechen mob and I think Bolivians as well. It's a whole thing. But over the course of 4 seasons, it's a lot of anxiety, a lot of darkness, and an unexpected a number of unexpected turns in the 4th season. If you know Bill Hader from his comedic work, this is definitely insightful as to his talents as a dramatic actor and as a director as well. So that's season 4 of Barry's my momentous pick. Now, Gray, you came back with something to show us? That is, oh, look at that. Very cool.
It's nice.
That took less than 5 minutes. It's crisp, it's clean, it's beautiful. I'm just beside myself.
What's the smell of burning denim like?
Delicious.
Now, will it do leather?
It will. And so we knew that you can do leather. So basically like tooling through that, and all sort of the vegan alternatives like pineapple leather,
Right.
It will do quite well. And you can cut these, you can stitch them. So this is also a leatherworking machine, which I'm going to be getting into making watch bands for the Apple Watch Ultra and the Apple Watch Series 9, something a little bit classier that you could work. I'm working on it.
Something Necronomicon themed, perhaps?
Where
are you sourcing your leather from exactly?
Well,
what part of town? Okay, Tasia, your project this week.
Yes, I put another Talk Tech to Me podcast episode up, a little update on the YouTube invalid traffic bug and the connection that I think it has to Google being in hot water with their advertisers. It's a quick listen. It's like 12 minutes. If you're like Tristan and you listen at double time, it's like not even 6 minutes of your day.
No, excuse me. Try triple time plus, plus the smart speed. So usually about 3.5x. That way, the absorption, the reading comprehension is top notch.
Oh yeah. Well, you'll be out in under 4 minutes.
Perfect. So, without spoiling too much, are you making any progress with your fight against YouTube?
No.
Spoiler alert, the battle continues.
The battle continues.
So where can people find out more about your work, Tasia?
You can just go to TasiaCustodi.com. All
right. And next week, you'll maybe have a YouTube video for us?
I probably will. I don't know.
Sigh. With all because they really make you feel like wanting to make more videos.
Yeah. I mean, I'm working for free at this point, right? So
fantastic. My project, well, this is this Tasia project as well. Episode 3 of AI named this show, AI Containment, Can You Put the Genie Back in the Bottle? And not only is it available on Apple Podcasts, but we are running now on Spotify. So if you're a Spotify user, you can find us there. Just search for AI Name This Show and like and subscribe and do all those things. Rate and review.
All the things.
Tell a friend. Tell an AI. Tell ChatGPT what you're listening to. And I think is that it, guys? Yeah.
That's it. We did it.
Can you believe it? We did it. So, if you want to find out more about us in Momentous, go to momentous.tv/links. Momentous.tv/team. The audio version of this, momentous.tv/podcast. And I forgot to bring up the our little side project, AI Name the Show. You can go there, www.ainametheshow.com. And we miss Will Silver. He should be back with us next week, and he'll tell us about all the beats he's been making.
Yay.
Anyhow, guys, we did it. Oh, Tasia, Gray, everyone else out there, we hope your week is truly momentous. Oh, I gotta hit the right button. I did the wrong thing again. Here we go.